Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Intelligent Moron with Alex Silva. Feeling good, feeling strong, feeling better than last week. Not that I didn't feel good, but it is much cooler now, thank Christ. I actually can sleep without having to turn on the AC. What an actual beautiful thing to do. To not be able to turn on any appliance and just rely on nature and the temperature to be... Am I going to live through this without having to use any appliance? Yes or no? It was a yes. No appliance needed. Save some cash. Didn't got to turn on any appliance. No heater, no AC, nothing. Just like... You can turn it off and just live your day. And be fine in your house and be like, oh yeah, this is nice. I don't need any of this. You know the moment when you can like crack open the window and have that nice outdoor breeze, not be too cold and it not being too hot, and you can just kind of chill out and relax and not have to worry about anything, nothing at all. It's one of the better feelings in the world. That's at the point where your life has synced with Mother Nature, and you don't need anything man-made or anything to help you feel better or feel, or live your life better in that moment. You need absolutely nothing. You can just, live your life and be like, I'm feeling amazing. That's a simple, like a tiny little thing that's just a little battle, like not having to turn on your AC or your heater and just kind of live. That's why I love the months of like October and November in California, because at that point you just got to turn off everything and just be like, ain't too hot, ain't too cold. I'm cool, I'm chilling. And you'll be like, you know what, I'm good. I'm fine. Because you're living in like the small window of the year where it's like everything, the weather has just is right. It's perfect, and you don't need any assistance from a heater or an AC unit. It's truly freeing too, not having to hear it turn on, and not having to make sure it's not on for too long or whatever, or you keep it at a certain degrees or at a certain temperature. That way you don't have to keep it, doesn't get too hot or too cold. It's perfect because you can just shut it off and it'd be like absolutely like nothing happened at all, and it's just completely fine. I want to talk a little bit about sports right now, jumping right into it because there's a lot to talk about this episode. This occurred last week, though. I'm going to get to this week too. I'm going to talk a little about the NBA playoffs and stuff that's been happening over the league this past week, and a lot of things that I've been hearing about, certain teams and their definitions of failure. Everyone's take on this, and everybody, in their right mind has the freedom to express their take on this. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's Giannis Antetokounmpo of the Milwaukee Bucks. He went on a press conference after they lost their in Game 5 to the Miami Heat. The Miami Heat advanced to the Eastern Conference semifinals after beating the Bucks in 5 games. Giannis Antetokounmpo was at the podium for the media, and one of the questions was, "Do you consider this season a failure?" I believe it was the question. And he goes on this big old spiel. You can definitely tell that he's kind of like, felt like he was attacked by the question from the reporter, and giving him like a whole big old spiel that comparing like a season in basketball to like this guy's job. Like, did you get a promotion this year? If not, do you consider that entire year a failure and stuff like that? And he kind of just said that it's not a failure, it's a step to success. Comparing that Jordan, played in the league for like, I think he said like 15 years and only won 6 championships. And he's like, are those other 9 years failures? And then stuff like that. And I'm pretty sure that if Michael Jordan was like ever going to chime in on this, he'd probably say like, yeah, they were failures. But that's just a different era of NBA player. But I heard this and I actually was a little shocked because the question is, was this season a failure? In my opinion, I believe that it was. And this is why I think that if you play a sport professionally, like basketball, football, baseball, whatever, you play a professional sport in this country, and the sport is designed so that you have you play a regular season, and then you get to the playoffs. And in the playoffs, you have the opportunity to advance so far to get to the Super Bowl, the finals, the World Series, whatever it is, to the championship of that league. And then you play to get there, and your goal is to get there and to win the championship for your team in for that season. Now, if you make it to the playoffs, right, and you're the number 1 seeded team in the Eastern Conference, you lose to the 8th seed, I believe, which was Miami, in 5 games. Now, granted, Giannis Antetokounmpo played 1 game out of those 5 games, so I don't think that the blame is completely going to be put on him. But as a team, right, you have a goal to win the NBA championship. They did not win the NBA championship, so by de facto, you have to say that it is a failure. Now, I think that, in this day and age, people are softer than ever before. There's a big, gigantic softness that's spreading throughout the country and even the world, People are getting really soft. And I'll be honest, this came across when he said this as very, very soft, extremely soft. We can't just change the meaning of words because we feel bad about ourselves. Failure is, the definition, I believe, is without success. So if the quest for success in this season is to win an NBA championship, right? Win in the finals, then yes, you did fail. You have to call it a failure then. I guess you can also say that it is steps towards success, but on the path, there is failure. They say that failure is like the best teacher. So there should be no shame in saying that you failed, because so many people would tell you the same thing, that, yeah, we failed. I failed. This was a failure. But that doesn't mean you're done. Giannis is not done. He's going to come back and probably play amazing next year. He's not going to just quit and give up. I think that we need to remember that failures happen a lot. They could happen possibly every day, multiple times a day, depending on what you do and how you like what consists to you as a failure, right? In this case, him being a professional athlete and playing in the NBA, he's not winning a championship this year. Therefore, yes, the season is in fact a failure, but it's not just a failure for you. It's going to be a failure for all the other 31 teams or the 29 teams that don't win it this year. And I think that, Giannis was probably just in a very soft spot. He didn't feel like he probably did enough to help out his team. Obviously, he only played 1 game, and he didn't play that much. That's not his fault. But overall, the season is a failure, right? I think that a lot of people would agree that that's a failure. Now, I think that, because of this response, we probably just got him at a really, really bad part, in his professional career. Obviously, they just got bounced in the first round of the playoffs, which is, probably not the best time to ask that type of question. I do question the question itself is a little broad. Not broad. It's a little too early for that type of question, I think. The question wasn't very good. I'll be honest. I think I should have had that job and asked him that better question. I'd be like, hey, Giannis, what is it that you can learn from this playoff run or this season, and how could you, take what you learned from this and apply it to next season? Something like that. Like the failure question, I get it. The reporter was trying to get him to say, like, yeah, we failed. He was trying to get a headline for sure. You can definitely tell. And I think that, Giannis, he gave a pretty good answer. But I don't, even though I don't like it, he did fail, right? He totally did fail. But he's not wrong. They are steps to success. Failure, like I've said, like many, many, many people say, failure is a step, you learn to succeed from failing. You learn to succeed from failing. Failure is the greatest teacher. He probably just could have said that. Yeah, failure is the best teacher, and then come back and, hopefully they win another championship, right? I don't know. I think that they just caught him at the wrong time, and he just kind of got a little defensive. He kind of did pick out the reporter a little bit, which was kind of weird. That was a little strange, like just to point out, like, your job. Did you get a promotion? Well, if you don't get a promotion, did you fail? Like, that's a little different, Giannis. Come on. Let's be honest. Like, our work, when we work, we're like reported like on our yearly or annually report on your performance, right? But it's not like as, public or as, viewed upon by other people as like an NBA superstar. It's a little bit different than that, but I get what he's trying to compare it to, trying to make it seem like he's, talking to him one-on-one, like, hey, I'm not so different than you. But at the end of the day, Giannis, yes, you are different. You are an NBA superstar. You are a freak athlete. You are super talented. You've already won a championship. I think that you should be able to take this a little bit more, this question a little bit better than you did, I'll be honest. But, he isn't wrong at the end of the day. They are steps to success. Failure is a step to success. You have to fail in order to succeed. And I think that if he just said it like that, we wouldn't have this entire conversation of being like, is the season a failure? Yes, it was. I've seen people on, other TV shows, other networks, whether it be inside the NBA, ESPN, all debate about, is this a failure? Yes, it is a failure. There is no way around it. It is a failure. But that doesn't mean it's always, in the long run, is it going to be a bad thing? Is it going to be something that you don't learn from? Yes, of course. If you keep failing and you keep on failing and don't get any better, yes, then we have a problem. But let's say, down the road, Giannis wins a few more championships and he learns things through, not only the wins, but the failures as well. And the learning from the failures, in my opinion, just living life and having failed at multiple things multiple times, you tend to learn more when you lose and when you fail than succeeding. Because when you succeed, you're such a, high, so high above everybody else that you can, that you're immortal, that you have no flaws, that everything that you did was perfect, and, that no one could have done it as good as I do. But once you start to fail, right, when you lose and you don't do as well, and let's say you don't win in the finals or you don't make it that far in the playoffs, right, you tend to look back and see what you did wrong. Now, unfortunately, he was injured, so there's a pretty fine, answer there. But other players, like, what did they do wrong? What could they have done better in their preparation, and their readiness and their drills or whatever, and their coaching? What could the coach have done better, right? What could have the staff could have done better? What anybody could have done better, right? It's a perfect opportunity to learn. Failure is one of the like I said, the greatest teacher. That's when you learn about yourself. That's when you really look yourself in the mirror. And you're like, what did I do wrong? We failed. We did not succeed in this run. We were supposed to go far. Our goal is a championship. I mean, you got to remember, like, all these guys, right? They are, not only just superstar freak athletes that make a ton of money and have a lot of influence, but at the soul of them, they play a game. In this case, it's basketball, right? They love the game. They love the game. And with the game of basketball comes competition. They're also competitors. They should always strive to be better. They should always strive to be better than the opponent that they're facing in the moment and in future encounters in the future, right? They always need to have that. That's why they're there in the first place. That's why that they're paid the millions and millions of dollars that they get every single year from not only the team, but endorsements and deals and advertisers and all that. It's why they are in the position that they are, is because they're competitors at heart, right? They strive for greatness. They work their ass off. They compete with other people, and they want to be the best that they can be at that position, right? So I can understand why failure, this whole conversation is being brought up, right? Failure is not something that we want to do. We never want to be a part of failure. No one wants to set out on a journey or a life-changing aspiration, right? And want to fail. Nobody's going to be like, oh, I can't wait to start doing this and hopefully I fail, right? No one's going to fucking do that. That's silly. That's stupid. That makes no sense at all. They try to succeed and be the best that they can. And listen, if we're going to be able, if we can't use the word failure anymore, which I think that this is kind of being blown over right now, it's not being talked about as it is when it first came out, obviously, but when this whole story and when this occurred, it was being talked about by everybody. Everyone was saying like, yeah, can we say failure? Like, yes, you can. Like the word is, I will not cancel failure. Failure is important in the growth and the development of people and their ability to do their jobs or do what they want to do. They need to learn how to fail, and you need to be able to bounce back from failures in order to learn how to succeed. And listen, I think that I've said it before. I think they caught Giannis at a pretty vulnerable moment, and he tried to kind of like, not make it seem so bad as it is. And, at the end of the day, I mean, it's a first round loss. These things happen. It's not like he's the first person or the first team to ever lose in that fashion, okay? Like, you don't need to make it sugarcoat it, okay? You failed. The season was a failure. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. And nothing's going to help you, right? Getting soft about it and trying to make excuses, of what actual failure is and steps to success and yada, yada, yada. I agree with you on the steps to success thing. Of course, yes. That's the whole process. But in this circumstance, in this season, in this campaign, it is a failure. And you were one of the top teams that were projected to win the finals and at least be in the finals this year, and they didn't make it. So by definition, yeah, the season was a failure. That doesn't mean that you can't learn from it. That doesn't mean it'll make you better in the future. That doesn't mean it's not considered a step towards success. It still is, but you have to call it what it is. You got to call a spade a spade. This is a failure. There's no other way to put it. I'm sorry. I'm not going to let you try to hide yourself and hide your shame by calling it steps towards success. We know that's what it is, obviously. If you really break it down, of course it is. But don't try to tell me that it's not a failure, because it is. Silly. I couldn't believe that was actually being conversed in media. People are getting so soft. Like, Giannis, I'm sorry, in that moment you were very soft. You're trying to hide away from the fact that you guys did fail. And that it was a failed campaign to win a championship. It was. Stop trying to hide from it. Just embrace it and learn from it. And I know that's hard for certain people. Athletes in particular can be kind of softies. They have, I think rightfully so for some of them. They have a lot of eyes on them. A lot of people pay attention to athletes. A lot of people like to criticize them for what they do and whatever they choose to say or how they go about themselves. They're in a lot of people's eyes. A lot of people have eyes on them. I get it. I understand that. So from my position, I'll be never really fully understand how that feels and how that actually operates and how that makes me think about what I say and think about how I approach things in life. I will never know that, unfortunately. But fortunately, because I don't want to know that. I don't want to have that experience or have that, you know how that feels, because it sounds like hell, you know? But at the same time, it's like, you want to say, like, I would have handled that so much better, or if I was in that position, I would have been so much better than this person was. But there's no way to get that answer unless you become an NBA superstar, which I don't think I can be. I'll be honest. I mean, I used to play basketball when I was a kid for like a very brief period of time. I was able to shoot free throws decently, but I couldn't do a layup to save my life. I never really grasped the concept of bouncing it off the backboard at a certain angle to get it to just fall into the hoop. Never could do that. It was like one of the things that held me back so far from everybody else playing basketball. I'm like, okay, I don't understand this. I don't quite grasp the physics of how me throwing the ball at the backboard and it bouncing into the hoop at a certain spot and it works every single time. I can't just throw it in or shoot it. Yeah, that was one thing that really that doomed me to become a professional basketball player, is I couldn't make a layup to save my goddamn life. Last night, 2 nights ago actually, was the Lakers-Warriors Game 1. Now, by the time this podcast comes out, it's going to be on Thursday. It'll be Thursday when this comes out. So I need to check the schedule real quick, because last week I forgot, the schedule and when this podcast drops, and I kind of got a little too ahead of myself. But this podcast will drop on May the 4th on Thursday. So that day will be Game 2. So today is Game 2 of Lakers-Warriors in the Western semifinals. And so Game 1 happened, which the Lakers won. I was actually kind of shocked. They beat the Warriors 117-112. And listen, based on like the regular season and how these teams have went about the regular season, Lakers kind of being a very, at times, like the worst team in the league, just bad, disjointed, didn't really fit. At the beginning of the season, they had, LeBron James and Anthony Davis and Russell Westbrook, and mid-season Westbrook was gone. He went to the Clippers, and it seemed to the Lakers just kind of found themselves, I guess. They realized that they had LeBron James and Anthony Davis, pretty much really good health, right? Healthy players. And, along with the emergence of Austin Reeves and having Dennis Schroeder, D'Angelo Russell being a solid point guard, and, other players that have been stepping up on that team, they have kind of, found out in themselves that, hey, we're actually a pretty good, pretty talented team. We could, we got to play the Grizzlies, who are pretty immature, pretty young. We're more seasoned and mature. We know our way around the league. They end up beating them in 6 games. And now we face the Warriors, who, went 7 games against the Kings, who are a very inexperienced team, very young, fast team, much more athletic than we are. And the Warriors beat them in 7 games. Now, was that kind of because, the experience beats out the youth? Potentially. I could definitely see that. I mean, the Warriors have been there, done that, throughout this past decade of being, maybe not a full decade, but close to a decade of just kind of wrecking the league, making this league their own. The Golden State Warriors have been like one of the top teams for like at least maybe 7 or 8 years. And now I'm just kind of chopping down the years as I continue to talk. But regardless, they've been very dominant for a long, long time, right? This league is theirs, has been theirs for a long time. They took the Kings to 7 games. It took them 7 games to beat them. They ended up beating them, and then we get the matchup against the Warriors and the Lakers. And as I'm watching the game, I understand first off the jump, right? The Warriors scored 10 points to the Lakers 2, right? It was 10-2 Lakers. I'm thinking like, oh yeah, the Warriors can really hit threes and they're pretty fast, right? They're a bit younger than the Lakers, I think, aside from LeBron James, and they have that 3-point shot. But you got to remember, the Lakers are still a very, very strong team. They got LeBron James and Anthony Davis who are just wrecking balls, and who are powerful basketball players that can just kind of wreck shop and wreck your entire game plan. And even though I didn't watch the entire game, I was able to see like, oh my God, like the Lakers can definitely like just mismatch the entire freaking Warriors team, like because of these guys who are super efficient and super powerful. Anthony Davis had a great game and he's feeling good and looking good. It's like, dude, if the Lakers can continue to play like this with LeBron and Anthony Davis, they might make it to the finals, I'll be honest, because they're playing like so good right now. And maybe it's because also LeBron James is back in the playoffs after 2 years of being out of them. He's definitely feeling like he's, coming towards the end of his career, right? That whole thing has been probably sifting in his mind for the past 2 years. The past 2 years, he's had some pretty mediocre teams. Anthony Davis has been pretty, injury prone, not playing all that well, not playing all that much. Crazy, different lineups every night. Having Russell Westbrook kind of being like, I don't know what happened to that guy. He used to be so good. But ever since he went to Houston, I think, is where he just kind of went downhill. And just not being playing to his full potential. Having those stars like Westbrook and James and Davis and all them, it just was a little too much, I think. A little too much to share the ball. And too many playmakers on that team to make people happy and also win games, right? With the emergence of Austin Reeves actually being a decent player, right? A pretty good player. He doesn't have to take over anything. He knows that he doesn't have to because he has LeBron James and Anthony Davis on that team. That way, he can still get good minutes and play very well without having to draw too much attention to himself and having to do everything, right? He can do his thing, get his 15 points, possibly 20, and help out the team. And when you got Anthony Davis and LeBron James who are expected to go off, right? They have people like Reeves and like Russell and Schroeder who can facilitate and get those guys the ball. I mean, they got a recipe for success right now. I'll be honest. If you really think about it, the Lakers right now have the recipe for success. They got all these guys around them that could get buckets, also facilitate the ball, get the ball around to people, Reeves to, get at least a good 15 to 20 points. But you have two guys in Anthony Davis and LeBron James who are just scorers, right? Sometimes facilitators, but mainly scorers, who only have a job is just to score the ball now. Now it's almost like they have the best, the best team in the playoffs right now. Just because of their design of how they play the games, And I'll be honest, man. During the regular season, when it was just turmoil and despair, I'm like, there's no way these guys are making the playoffs. No way. They get in with the play-in tournament. They take care of the Grizzlies, which I don't think we expected that. I mean, just because of the Grizzlies being so much younger, more athletic. But no. Not here. Now, I will say this. As good as the Lakers were in that game, the Warriors are also really good too. I mean, the championship mentality, I think, is in both of these teams. Even though the Lakers have won one championship and it was a Mickey Mouse one in the bubble during COVID. That was a bubble championship. Don't get it twisted. Or that was a Mickey Mouse championship, all right? That barely counts. That barely counts. Okay? They still have a championship, right? LeBron James has 4 championships, one being with the Lakers. So, but the Warriors, though, that team, that core has been together for so long that it almost seems that if you need a team to really, really dig deep and really dig on their their brotherlyhood or their brotherhood and their relationships and their core and their chemistry. I would go with like the Warriors because there is probably not a better team that has the best chemistry than the Warriors. Like the Warriors just play with each other. They've been playing with each other for so long and dominating for so long that I think that it might be a little impossible to find a team that has as much chemistry as the Warriors does, right? Maybe the Celtics. The Celtics have been together for a while too. The current Celtics, but I think that the Warriors, having won so many championships with that core team, that's going to be tough to beat, man. Even though the Lakers stole game 1, right? Pretty definitively, right? Like they won that game, right? It's going to be tough for the Lakers, even with LeBron James and Anthony Davis, to beat these Warriors 3 more times. The Warriors, led by Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, that's going to be tough to do. That is a daunting task. And I don't know if they can do it. Like, I think the Lakers, if I'm going to root for a team, I'm rooting for the Warriors, right? But, like, I wouldn't put it past it, man. I wouldn't put it past them. I mean, I think that you going up against LeBron James, man, when he's like, he definitely feels like they got something going on. If he gets motivated, and he definitely seems motivated, and if he gets going, and if he gets like, more and more like, hey, we really got something here, then you guys might be in it for, maybe a 7-game series. But I just couldn't believe it. After the start that they had to the regular season, and after like how much they've been through within this season, I was like writing them off from like the very beginning. Like, there's no way these guys are gonna make it that far to the NBA Finals. Like, no way, no shot, impossible. But hey, this is what we wanted, though. This is what we wanted. This is, the Warriors Lakers is one of like these paramount series that we got going on in the NBA right now. It's Warriors Lakers, right? Steph versus LeBron. That's one. Philadelphia, Boston, that's another one. That's a premier matchup, like a mouth-watering matchup that everybody wants to see. New York, Miami, another great one. I mean, come on. The only one that's kind of a dud right now is Phoenix and Denver, because Phoenix is down, pretty bad, and Denver is, still pretty good. But they play like the most like boring basketball I've ever seen. And that's kind of weird because, you got a team like Phoenix who's like fucking star-studded and just absolutely loaded with playmakers and good players that can barely fucking score points in these games for some reason. It's like Denver is either just a defensive monster or these guys are just broken and can't do shit. I'm thinking it might be the that they just can't do anything, But I'm thinking about this right now, and I'm looking at the schedule, and I'm seeing that, the Nuggets got to play, they got to win 2 more games, right? They're up 2-0 on the Suns. That's probably going to be it. I don't think that the Suns are good enough to come back and beat the Nuggets 2 more times. I mean, the Nuggets kind of fucked around with Minnesota a little bit, so that they might win a game or 2. But at the end of the day, Denver's going to advance. It's probably going to be Denver and Golden State, probably, Dream finals, though, if I'm going to be, like, crazy and I want to see, like, a good, like, a pretty, like, passionate and cool finals, like, with good players and shit, I mean, it's got to be Lakers-Celtics. That'd be insane. Like, we haven't seen Lakers-Celtics in a finals since, like, 2010, I think? 2011? Was when the last time we saw that, and that was probably one of the best finals we've ever seen. Because I know the Celtics beat the Lakers in 2008, and I'm pretty sure 2010 is when they faced off again, and the Lakers beat them that year. So that I mean, like I always root for that, right? I would also enjoy New York, LA. That would be pretty cool. LA, Miami would be nice. Golden State versus Boston, Golden State versus Philadelphia, that'd be pretty sick too. In no way, shape, or form do I want to see the Denver Nuggets in the finals. I'll be honest, and not because because I want to see these other teams. Because I don't like their style of basketball. To me, it's so boring and just defensive heavy and not scoring a lot of points. And yeah, the Joker is amazing, and Jamal Murray's amazing, and they deserve it because they were the best team in the league throughout the entire regular season. But I want to see names. I'm sorry, but I want to see like familiar names, like not familiar, but goated names like Steph Curry and LeBron James, even, and Joel Embiid and um um Jason Tatum. I think we're gonna get a good come up from the East, though. Either one of these teams will be like, pretty eye drawing. It's if we get Denver, I don't know. That might be a little tough to swallow. I don't know if I would want to watch that. I'll be honest. And you know what? Maybe because the NFL or the NBA is so rigged, maybe they actually might rig it so one of these other teams like Golden State or the Lakers or even Phoenix might beat them, because the NBA is like, how are we going to get more ratings? Oh yeah, we'll just take Denver out. We won't let Denver advance because they don't bring in the ratings. I could definitely see the NBA doing that because they're fucking crazy. And they're rigging the system and rigging the league. Moving on from sports. I want to talk a little bit about something that I had mentioned a few weeks ago. When I bought my PlayStation 5, and I got the God of War Ragnarok edition. And as you know, before I played Ragnarok, I decided to play God of War 2018. Because I had never played it. I've never played a God of War in my life. And I was thinking, should I start with the very, very first one and work my way up to God of War Ragnarok? I was like, nah. I mean, these games are kind of old. It might not feel as, something I want to continue to play. I might get a little bored. I might kind of put it off. I might never get to the newer ones. And so I decided, you know what? I'm just gonna start with God of War 2018. I'll just start with that one. Let's play that. And I just beat it this past weekend. Now, just for reference, I have not beaten. If you've played God of War 2018, I have not beaten all the Valkyries. I've beaten 3 of the Valkyries. I have not beaten them all, and I might go back and beat them. I don't know. I'm not too sure. Is it worth it? Do I need some special armor? Do I need I don't know, right? I'm not sure. There's a couple realms that I also have not visited, and I don't know if I need to go back and visit them, if they're worth it or what, but I'm not too sure, right? It's a big mystery at that point for me. Do I go back and finish it? Do I complete the other side stuff? Or do I just move on to Ragnarok, right? I'm not sure. But I wanted to talk about God of War 2018 and give a little review, give my thoughts on it, and just give you my overall impressions of that game, being it the first God of War game that I've ever played in my life. The first PlayStation 5 game that I've actually completed. The first PlayStation game, I think, in my entire gaming career that I've ever completed, right? I'm an Xbox guy. I've been an Xbox guy my entire life. I've simped for Xbox. I've been an Xbox supporter since the day I could get it, right? I've been an Xbox guy forever. I've never owned a PlayStation. This is the first time in my entire life that I've owned a PlayStation. The first time I've ever, like I said, beaten a PlayStation game was God of War 2018. So, overall thoughts on God of War 2018. I absolutely loved this game and everything about this game. From the gameplay to the story, the narrative, the voice acting, the characters, the game design, everything about this game I absolutely loved. And it might have been because I've never played a God of War game in my entire life, and maybe because this is my first one and I'm biased, but I gotta tell you, man, I understand why it won Game of the Year now. Fully understand. The story in God of War 2018 is some of the most beautiful storytelling that I've ever witnessed, like in a video game, that is so impactful, so emotional, and just in a way very relatable too. It is like some like with combined with like amazing gameplay, beautiful music, and it looks great too. Like holy shit, dude! God of War was incredible. It was incredible, and from moments like I'm gonna spoil it by the way, from moments when you first start fighting the stranger who you learn to be is Baldur, Thor's son, I think, or Thor's brother. Um, like the combat in this game, how it goes from like gameplay to cinematics to quick button pressing, whatever that's called, is so seamless that it makes other games that do that and kind of stutter when they do that, it puts them to shame because of how good this game does it. One of the first games I've ever played that has been able to go from cinematic to gameplay to quick button press, whatever mechanic thing that it does, so seamlessly, so beautiful. It doesn't drop frames. It doesn't. Again, I'm playing it on the PS5, so maybe that has something to do with it. But it just does everything so technically beautiful in that game. It's gorgeous. I can't get enough of how the game goes out with this whole one-shot thing where it's just like a one-shot camera movement from like, when it goes to a cutscene to gameplay to, more dialogue and shit. It's all like a one-cut type of thing, right? It feels like you're watching 1917, but God of War. It's crazy. And it's just done so beautifully. The graphics look great. The colors are beautiful. They're just beautiful. They seem to just, like, with this game, they knew what they wanted and they executed it on such a beautiful, beautiful way. And the story, like I've said, my gosh, so emotional, yet so simple. But the game knows, like, who they're following and who you're following in this game, the characters that you're following, and the interactive gameplay of you playing as Kratos and having to teach boy how to be a man and how to deal with things and how to kind of like being a parent, right? It puts you in the parent role that you're Kratos and boy is your son. It's such a great game. I couldn't believe like how good it was. And I'm so late to this game that it almost kind of pains me that I'm late to it because it is so damn good and it was so like addicting too. Like the gameplay is so much fun because it's like an open world type game, but not as big as like, Fallout or The Witcher or whatever. It's a little bit more, it's smaller than that, but like the gameplay and how you explore is like through these like little, not like puzzles, but trying to find the like unlocking the path to get to like where you need to go or what you want to get. If it's like a, little collectible or like some money or like fighting a boss or getting some kind of metal to use for crafting, you like unlock the level in exploring it. It just kind of makes it like, one task to the other, and it like makes it like much more enjoyable to play and wanting to, play more. And that to me is like something that I don't think that I've experienced in a game in a very, very long time, is like unlocking the level, to get to point A to point B, you kind of need to do some other thing in the middle to get to that point. And it's rewarding throughout the entire game too. And throughout that, the rewarding system and all that, and just like navigating through the game is combat and fighting off enemies. And my God, God of War, this one, the one that I just played, has some of the most fun fighting mechanics of all time. Like, there isn't that many combos, but you can like chain attacks and quickly like switch between enemies and parry so cool. and the different weapons that you get. Like, you might have like seen, when it was first being promoted, that you use an axe, and here comes a spoiler, 3, 2, 1. Well, not only that, but you also get his other weapon from the previous games called the Blades of Chaos, which are like these swords that are like attached like chains on his forearms. And man, I was cool with the axe. Like, I was digging the axe, and I was getting used to it, how to like throw it and bring it back all quick, and shift from just chopping them to throwing the axe, and using the axe to like do some cool parries and shit and cool attacks and all that. And then you're introduced to the Blades of Chaos, which elevates the gameplay even more than I thought. And they were such a cooler fucking weapon. Like, this game, it just keeps going up and up. And I'm like, oh my God, how did I not play this for 5 years? I could not believe it. Like, it is so fun. It is so epic, and it's so rewarding. And it just makes you want to keep playing. Like, this past weekend, I played maybe about like 12 hours of God of War, and I completed it. Right? I already played like maybe like 20, I think, before that. And I'm like, you know what? I wasn't planning on beating it, but I guess I'll beat it right now, because it was that good, it was that addictive, and it was that fun. And I just was like, wow, I cannot believe that I wasted 5 years not playing this game. Part of me is my arrogance and not wanting to get a PlayStation and not wanting me to be wanting to betray Xbox. But dude, I mean, I played God of War probably better than any fucking Xbox exclusive that they've ever fucking put out. I'll be honest. Better than Halo, better than Crackdown, better than fucking Quantum Break. God of War beats them all. I'm sorry, but it does. Much more worth it as a game. Like, as a game, right? It doesn't really take you out. There's no like time jumps. It's all like in one thing. The only thing is like, maybe there could have been like time jumps where you kind of take a pause in the gameplay, but there's none of that. None of that, right? It's just beautiful. It's so good. It's so great. It's so much fun. It's rewarding as shit. The story is amazing. The voice acting is great. It's a relatable story. It's just beautiful. It was so beautiful. I have to give this game like a 9.8 out of 10. It's that good. It's so good. Like, it's unbelievable how good that game is. Like, from the little quest to the big, grand, main quests, right? The game is just amazing. There's no way to explain it. Like, I was just blown away by it. I was like, oh man, I could not. I stopped playing Hogwarts Legacy to beat this fucking game because it was that much better. Hogwarts Legacy is great. It's so much fun. I still love it, but it doesn't demand the attention or the I'm gonna give up my time to play God of War versus Harry Potter. Like, I'm giving up to God of War every time. God of War gets 100% of the attention that Harry Potter would get gotten. I'm sorry. It's just that much better of a game. And I tip my hat to the fucking people who made the game, because that game, God of War 2018, 9.8 out of 10. Fucking incredible game. Incredible. I might just go back and kill the Valkyries, because let me tell you this, man. There is probably not a more satisfying game when it comes to killing bosses and enemies. God of War is a game not for little bitches. This is a fucking man's game, bruh. And if you're not a man, you will become a man when you play God of War. I'm telling you, bro. I'm telling you. You will become Kratos, the God of War, and you'll fucking hack a fucking troll's jaw right off, and you will feel like the manliest fucker that ever walked this planet. You'll be like, I'm gonna fucking run through this fucking whole house because this motherfucker inspired me so much by fucking destroying this troll. I'm telling you, bro. If you doubt me, bro, try it out. Try out God of War. If you never played it, give it a shot. I think you'll love it. There is not a more masculating game than God of War. Can confirm there is not one more that is more masculine than God of War. That's got to be the number one. Number one masculating game has got to be God of War. 100%. I love fucking every second of it. Every second. Now to a little bit more of a sad story. Not like super sad, but like a little bit of a disappointing story that I've been hearing about that has been developing within the gaming community and the gaming world. And that is apparently the launch for Star Wars Jedi Survivor has been pretty rocky. Now, I haven't played Jedi Survivor because I'm a mess right now, right? I have to beat, at the time when it came out, I hadn't beaten God of War yet, so I'm like, well, I gotta beat God of War, I gotta beat Harry Potter, I want to play the new Spider-Man game, but I knew the first one that came out, the one that was pretty good on the PS4, I want to play that one, and then I want to play God of War Ragnarok after that. So I got a lot on my plate right now as a gamer. Like, I got a lot of shit to complete before I think I could even sink my teeth into Jedi Survivor. So I've been kind of on the sidelines at the moment with Jedi Survivor. I've been a sideline, observer of what has been taking place within this game. Now, I know my buddy has the game. I think he's enjoying it pretty well. But he has pointed out an issue that is kind of sweeping the nation, but that I'll be honest, I haven't really seen a whole lot of people talk about. I've had to do a little bit of digging to see it, so I was a little concerned about how big of an issue this is. Apparently, the frame rates in this game on all platforms, PS5, Xbox Series X, S, but especially for that PC is having a big trouble in terms of frame rate stability with Jedi Survivor. And frame rate in me, it's not good, right? You expect the game to run silky smooth, especially if it's a game that's just story. You'd hope it would work 100%, at launch, right? Everybody wants that. Everybody dreams of that. I dream of that. We all do. And then I heard about that later on, but when it first dropped, when the game launched, I did hear that there was a day one patch that you had to download as soon as you got the game downloaded onto your console or PC or whatever. And I saw that. And I was like, oh, that's strange. Why would they have that? Whatever. I don't have the game yet. I still don't have it. I haven't even thought about that. I was in God of War mode at that time, right? And then I heard from my friend that it's actually in not a good state. Like, it's not performing that well. I've heard that the game is still very good in terms of story, in terms of gameplay. It's pretty fun. It's actually really good. IGN gave it a 9. They say that it was better than Jedi Fallen Order, which is, a good sign. But we can't ignore the fact that the performance is not where it needs to be. At a game that people pay full price, now in times $70 for a full game. I think that, I've been preaching this for years. That games need to come out completely finished. No matter what. I don't care. First impressions matter. First impressions last a lifetime. You remember when games, still the same, but remember infamous releases that occurred when a game was not finished? A la Cyberpunk, a la The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. Right? Those shitty releases. We can't forget about those as gamers. We cannot. It's not good. And unfortunately, it seems that every single game release that has this type of thing happen we forget. Because people still bought Jedi Fallen Order, they still bought it, they still downloaded it, they still, spent their money, and they have it. Now, of course, you're never going to know until you buy it, and, you're not going to know if it's a fucking broken piece of shit until you buy it, unfortunately, right? And that's why it's good when people call it out, because they have to, keep doing it, right? Because if they don't do it, it's not going to change. Well, we've been doing it for years now, and it hasn't changed at all. They still ship out unfinished games and unfinished products, and it just becomes, the same story every time a game comes out, right? Every single time it's the same goddamn thing. Framey, glitchy, buggy. One way or another, it's not good. It continues to be the same old shit. What are we supposed to do, right? What do we do? Are we just supposed to not buy games at day one anymore? I think we're a little too... I don't think that's ever going to happen. I'll be honest. I think that nobody in their right mind who wants to buy a game is not going to buy a game when they want to, right? When the game has hype behind it, when it has excitement, when it has, everything going for it, people are going to buy it. We are not going to know if it's in a shitty state until we buy it. That's just a fact. They're not going to tell us ahead of time, hey, just so you know, it's not that great right now, but still buy it. No one's going to fucking buy it. No one's going to buy it. And unfortunately, I see no way out of this. Unfortunately. I think what we're just going to have to deal with now. And I sound like a broken record when I say this. This is just how people make games now. They just make them like this. They'll patch them up as time goes on and make it to what it was supposed to be day one. Now, hopefully they can do it quicker than we want them to, or quicker than they can, to make it seem that they care, they give a shit, right? But I think that we are long past any of these developers actually giving a shit about how their game looks day one. Maybe it's the developers that actually give a shit, but I think we're well past the executives and the companies that actually give a shit about how it is day one. I think that's true. I think the same people, right? The same type of people who will make faulty phones or faulty shit, or a ball that doesn't retain air as well, are the same exact people who ship out games that aren't completed. It's the same fucking shit. They're just trying to make money as fast as possible. That way that they can, fucking make their quarterly fucking earnings or whatever, get it, strike while it's hot and get that money as quick as possible. These people are all over industry, right? They just want to make money as fast as possible. And yeah, the developer might be more passionate than the executive, 100%. But that doesn't mean that the developer is going to have a saying when they can release the game. And I'm pretty sure it's even weirder because they did delay Fallen or Survivor. They did delay Survivor by I don't know how much, but they did delay it, right? So you would have hoped that, that delay probably going to make the game better. Well, apparently it didn't make it all that much better, especially if you play it on PC, because apparently the frame rate is terrible on that shit. It's unfortunate. Every time it happens, you're like, why did we buy it? Why did we buy it? How come we continue to do this? Because they're not going to be truthful to you. The studio's not going to be truthful of how their game is. They don't have the liability to do that. They don't have to tell you how their game is before you sell it. If only there was current facts on the back of every game that you buy, of the current specs of it, how it runs on Xbox, PlayStation, PC, that would be great. That would be pretty useful. That would be helpful. But that would make you make a smart decision, a smart purchase, which is not what they want you to do. They don't want you to do that, because with smart purchases, that equals to them less and less money. And that is a no-no for these guys. An absolute no-no. So I think that the days of shipping out completed games with very, very little bugs, very little issues is well past and gone. It's just a thing of the past. A thing of the past that we will never get back. And unfortunately, I don't see that people stop buying games. People are consumers, as much as they bitch and moan about it, right? I bitch and moan, you bitch and moan, we all bitch and moan about it. We've experienced it with games like Cyberpunk and The Witcher and Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, right? Battlefield 2042. We've all said the same exact thing. This sucks. Why'd I buy it? Ain't gonna buy this shit again. I'm gonna be more careful about this. Well, it happened again. It's just gonna continue to happen. They know the market. They know that you're starving for new games. In this world where people are still so fixed on battle royales and those type of multiplayer games, the industry knows that you're starving. They know that you need new games, that you want new games, that you need new experiences because you're sick and tired of the ones that you already have. You bought Survivor because you were tired of Fortnite, or you were tired of Call of Duty, or you were tired of Apex, or whatever the fuck you play. You were tired of it. You wanted a new experience, and you got it. But it wasn't fully done. And they are preying. They're just preying on you as a consumer's your attention span or your sanity. Can you continue to play Fortnite? Can you continue to play Warzone? Will you continue to play Apex for much longer? Or try out this new experience, this new Jedi Survivor. It's new, but it's not completed yet. Not fully developed, not fully cooked. But, your desire and your thirst and your hunger for something new overtook you. That's what they count on. They're counting on your hunger for new things. They know you'll buy it. And they'll be like, hey, it's not completed, but they'll buy it. But those days of completed games are over. It's a thing of the past. A thing of the past that will never return. I'm just going to say it now. It will never return. Never, ever again. You're going to be looking at patches for the rest of your fucking life as a gamer. The rest of your fucking life. Now, there are certain games that, every once in a while that have pretty damn decent launches. I heard that Harry Potter's was good. Elden Ring had a pretty good launch. But you see far too many now that have just bad launches, and you question. You're like, what? Do they give a shit? Do they care? They don't care. They just want you to fucking buy their game. And that's it. That's it. Just buy it and shut up. We'll make it work when we have the money. Once you pay for it, because let me tell you this, man. You think these companies got a ton of money? No. No, they don't. They're waiting for you to buy their game so they can have money, so they can probably pay people to fix their game or to complete their game. No. These companies have absolutely zero money. And when that game launches, once that fucking bank account, that money starts to roll in, they're like, oh yeah, now we can finally do this. Now we can finally do that. But yeah, those days of completed games, never happening. It's over. Anyways, everybody, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. You can catch every episode of The Intelligent Moron with Alex Silva on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. This podcast drops every Thursday morning. Make sure to like, subscribe, rate, review, do all that good stuff. And yes, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And I will see you guys next week.